So welcome everyone for the second session of ASAN seminar. Today we have Professor Gerald Soosai Raj leading the session. Professor Gerald is an IST Information Science and Technology Department alumnus from 2010 batch. And without further ado, please, Professor Gerald, take it away.
Sure, thank you so much, Karthik, for the wonderful introduction. Hi, everyone. Again, I am an assistant teaching professor at University of California, San Diego. And first, I'll go into more details about introducing myself, but I have titled this particular part. There are two lectures that I will be giving during today and also on Monday, the next Monday. Okay. This particular lecture I have titled as Gerald's life lessons. Okay. I'm just going to share with you my journey from where I was and to where I am right now, and some of the lessons that I learned during this journey. Okay. And one important thing is feel free to ask any questions either in chat, okay, either in chat that is visible to everyone, or feel free to even post your questions directly to me in chat, okay, if you're comfortable doing that too. That's if you're not comfortable sharing your questions with everyone, feel free to direct message me in the Zoom chat, okay. You could send me messages privately, right? You do that too, or feel free to just raise your hands or unmute yourself and ask your questions, okay, at any point in time. Okay, I'm going to get started. Yeah, my full name is Adalbert Gerald Soosai Raj, and my preferred name, people used to call me, right, from my time in Chennai, is Gerald, and my preferred pronouns are he, him, and his. And this is my personal web page. You feel free to take a look at it later on. I can share a link to the slides at the end of this class too. Okay, and I did my PhD in computer sciences and education. It was an interdisciplinary PhD between, I was interdisciplinary PhD between these two fields, computer sciences and education. And I also did a master's in computer science from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Okay, and I will in this talk, I will also talk a bit about how I ended up doing, how I transitioned from computer sciences and specifically into this interdisciplinary field of computer sciences and education too. Okay. And where I'm from, I am originally from Chennai in India, in Tamil Nadu, as all you know. And here I did my undergraduate College of Engineering, Guinea. And the year that I was there was between 2006 and 2010. Okay, so I passed out or graduated in 2010. Okay, and some of my teaching experiences till now here, at least during my PhD, and also while working as a professor right now, these are my teaching experiences. So I have taught introductory programming classes in Java, Python, C, C++, intro to computer systems course, and intro to operating systems course, and intro to computing education research course. This is a graduate level class for masters and PhD students. Okay, and I'm super interested or extremely interested in CS outreach. Okay, trying to help people who currently do not get equal access to computing. For example, in the US specifically, these are Black people or African American people, Latinx people or Hispanic people, and women. They are currently really underrepresented in computing. Okay, and so one of my goals is to help them get equitable access to computing, and for that we have been doing some outreach activities using programming languages like Scratch and MIT App Inventor. For people who are not aware of these programming languages, these are block-based programming languages using which we could write code in a much fun way than we could do with text-based programming languages like Python. Okay. Some fun things about me. I'm adventure enthusiast. Okay, so this is me. I self-learned doing headstands on my own in a span of 1 to 2 months, and then this is me doing headstand at Queenstown, New Zealand, when I went there for presenting one of my research papers at an academic conference. And this is me doing tandem skydiving at Monterey Bay, California. And along with these things, I also tried bungee jumping, then scuba diving and stuff like that. Okay. Yeah. Great. Okay. So now at this point, like you heard a bit about me. And similarly, I'm super interested in hearing more about you. Okay. So I would like you folks to let me know who you are. Okay. And remember, like this is going to, even though we're asking your email and name, because this is how we are going to like assign you credits for this particular class. Okay. One of the ways that we're going to assign you credits for this particular class. Most of the questions are just like choose multiple or like just choose like one answer. Just I think there's only one or two questions where we ask about like what is some struggle that you faced while solving programming problem, and what is like one fun thing about you that I would like to know. Okay. And also like if you have anything that you would like to let me know, feel free to let me know. And like we will not be like, I will, this response when I'm sharing it with class, it will be at the aggregate. Okay, so I'll be saying like, okay, these many students said this, these many students said this, and so on. And so do not worry about being identified. So you will not be identified in these for answering the survey. So please be your true self when answering this. Okay, and we are going to do this right now. Okay, so that we get a sense of like what are the students that we have in today's lecture. Okay, so I'm sharing the form in Google in the Zoom chat. Okay, let's take maximum of 5 minutes. But even if I see like multiple responses before that, we could even like be done in 3 minutes or so. But let's take a maximum of 5 minutes, and then let's fill this form right now. Okay, because this is how I usually interact with my students. I tell them about me, and then I would like to know a bit about them before we could even proceed with anything. Okay. So please, yeah, click on the link above and take the survey. Okay. And yeah, you'll see something like this. Okay. And you should not have any login issues and anything. If there are any issues, please let us know here. Okay. And one like humble request that I have now is if you folks feel like comfortable turning on your video, please feel free to do so. At least it will be good to see like 2 to 3 faces when like doing these remote lectures. Else it's just like me seeing my screen and just myself, right? So feel free to like, yeah, if you're comfortable doing so, I understand that maybe like network bandwidth issues, but if that is not an issue, and if you are not in an uncomfortable position or anything like that, so please feel free to like turn on your video. Thank you for. Okay, let's do it right now. Please, if you are on a mobile device or also on a computer, either way works. Just try filling out that Google form right now. And folks who may not be students and who are part of Signa, so feel free to like, if you want, feel free to like, how to say, take it. And there are for every question there are other options. So if you're asking for a department, you can just say like from Signa and so on. I mean, it's not required that you take it, but it's just in case if you want to see like what questions we have there, if you want to provide your responses to it. By the way, feel free to interrupt me anytime. Okay, ask me any questions. I'm just waiting for you folks. I'm just giving you time because now we can see once the responses start populating here, we can just see it in the aggregate. Okay, so do not worry about being identified. Okay. we are starting to see responses here. This is good. Like, I think 3 CSE students have filled it out till now, or 4 students. Nice. 5. Good. Keep going. Yeah, this is great. Thank you. Thank you so much for filling it out and for this interactivity. This is amazing. People love to like prank people, brush the teeth 3 times a day. Nice. I can move just my ears. Wow, that's awesome. I am a huge sports nerd. Karthik, are you able to see like the responses that I'm sharing now, like in my screen, that I'm seeing right now in my screen too?
Absolutely. I can
Okay.
see your screen, Gerald.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. I'm a huge sports nerd and watch a lot of different sports. I'm also a huge Harry Potter geek and love reading mythology related fiction. Nice. I have a hilarious laugh and sometimes I just can't stop. I can so much relate to that. Nice. I started learning how to skateboard a few months ago. Wow, and I'm still trying really hard to land a few tricks. Awesome, that's great. I like making harmless prank calls. Whenever we see something like harmless prank calls, I remember like RJ Balaji. He's someone who comes to my mind. I'm such a fan of him. I can type extremely fast on the keyboard. I unwind by listening to a genre of music called math rock. Wow. Watch TV shows and movies at speed of 2.5 times the normal speed. This is something that I haven't like heard of. That's awesome. Great. I'm just going to look at like some other question responses too. So people are like comfortable with Python, Java, C. There is a wide variety. Nice. Okay, that's a wide variety of programming languages that people are rating their programming proficiency to. That's good to see here. And most comfortable asking questions in class. Also, I see that people have like at least 53% of the people prefer to ask questions in Tamil, and nearly 13 students or almost it's going to be Tamil and English, I think, because here it's 100%, right? So folks, if you, just in case people who have answered both Tamil and English here, if you want to like ask questions in Tamil or in a bilingual manner in Tamil and English, any way, feel free to like ask. Okay, just to like let you know, one of my research interests is in the area of how could we use bilingual education to non-native English speakers to teach them computing more effectively. Okay, so I would really like, that is something that I am doing research on. So I would really appreciate using like either or both languages in my class. And just to make it clear, like I know Tamil and English, and I don't know any of these other languages. Okay, so just in case if you have a question in other languages, then feel free to like just do it in English. And there are mostly CSE students here, and like 3 IST students and 1 ECE students. That's great. Nice. I also see like a distribution between people's preferred pronouns. Nice, she/they. Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for these responses. I think I'm going to proceed now. Okay, it's already 5 minutes. Okay, let's proceed now. I got a sense of like who is in the class now. This helps me super, an amazing way to connect with folks. That's also the reason I was asking you to like turn on your video, but that's fine if you're not comfortable. Okay, so this today's lecture, I'm going to 3 parts to it. Okay, and if time permits, we may even cover some like CS related content today, but I'm not very sure. Okay, so let's start with, I'm going to share about my life before CEG, like during CEG and after CEG, okay, and some of the important life lessons that I learned during this time, and that's how this is going to be. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to start with my family. So this is my family, like my dad. Just a minute. Okay. I'm just going to see if I can. Okay, I'm just going to try that. Okay. So, okay, so this is my dad, my mom, my elder sister, my friend Vinod, my friend S. Karthik. He's my friend right from my first grade. Okay, this is my family friend called Lidwin. And so these people, like the people who are in this picture, have almost like formed my life in the sense that okay, without them, I'm almost nothing, right? And like family forms such a basis of my relationship. Okay, and I'm not sure if I actually shared with you this thing. Yeah, so this is also like this is me, my wife Kavya, and my daughter Iliana. Okay, and this is we are in Michigan right now, and this is our family picture. So without them, I'm like really nothing. And when we started, like when my life started in a school called Montfort Preparatory School, this is in Mylapore, Chennai. Okay, and this amazing person that you see in this picture is my first standard class teacher. Her name is Rosie Miss. Okay, and I'm just going to share these as some stories, okay? So the first day of my class, I go to school and then I'm super overwhelmed because like for my LKG and UKG, I was in a different school called Bonseckers, okay, that was also in Mylapore. And then I go to this Montfort Preparatory School that is associated with like a Santhom High Secondary School, and this is near the Santhom Church, okay? I was super overwhelmed and I still remember my first day in class so vividly because uh, going to a new school, seeing a new teacher, new friends was super overwhelming. And this person like made my life super easy. Like she was so loving and so welcoming. And at the same time, during my first day in class, okay, I was trying to figure out where the bathrooms or the restrooms were during the first break. I had no idea where they were because I'm in a new school. And this person, right, this person that I showed you in this picture is Karthik. He came to me and he just said, hey, do you want to go to the restroom? Come, I'll take you. And that's how we even became friends. Yeah, and that friendship continues till now. And one of my childhood dreams during my elementary school was actually to become a train driver. Okay. Believe it or not, I really wanted to become a train driver mainly because I wonder, like, I used to think like trains are like, I even think no, trains are such a huge thing, right? And one person is driving such a huge thing. How was that even possible? I was so amazed by that. And so now wherever I go, we try like taking, I try taking pictures with trains, and this is us taking pictures in New Zealand. And at the same time, right, I wanted to like actually try driving a train. I was like thinking, how is it even possible? And it even happened when I was like working in Bangalore, like in the Bangalore City Railway Station. I went there. There was this separate engine that was standing there, and there was this person trying to take it to a different platform. And I just spoke with them. Something like, Anna, can I like come? Can I see how it works? How are you like operating these things? And he was like, yeah, you're super happy. I was like, oh, do you really want to see it? Yes, come on in. And then he took me in, and then he took me to a different platform and like changed tracks, and we came to a different platform. I was just standing there observing him do stuff, but I was even like super amazed. So having some childhood dreams, even though like that may not make sense at later point in time, and trying to like achieve them is one thing that I personally feel keeps me like moving. Okay. And during my high school, right, during 6 to 10, these are some of the people who made such an impact on my life. So this is Sabrina Miss, Manita Miss, Sophia Miss. These are my sixth, eighth, and ninth standard teachers. And this one person here, right, John Benedict said, till he was my science teacher in ninth standard, till that time, I really did not have as much interest in science. It was this person who actually sparked so much interest by his enthusiasm, by having like experiments in class, by doing experiments in class, by letting us fail, letting us see like how things actually work, and the fun that he brought to the science classes. I feel like that was the key turning point in my life, one of the key turning points, because I started like becoming amazed about things, and I wanted to ask more questions about, hey, what is really going on, like how does this work, how does that work, and so on. So that's like instilled a sense of curiosity in me. Okay, this person. And then she is my 10th standard maths teacher, and I learned like so many things from her. And she also sparked my interest in mathematics. And like later on, I realized that some of my interest in computer science also actually came from the way that she actually taught me maths during my 10th grade. Okay, these are like only like a few people. There are a lot more people, but just for time constraints, I'm not able to like go through everything. Okay? And these are some of my high school friends who were with me during that time. This was the thing that we took in 2004 when I completed my 10th, when we completed 10th grade, and the same set of friends, we are still like really close. And one thing that I personally think that I am learning from them is like having a close network of friends, like right from your school or even from your college, right? Having them throughout your life is going to like help you like take things in perspective and to have the support network whenever you are not doing as well in life. I will show you like instances where I was not doing so well in life, and how did the people around me, the network around me, the close friends like help me. Okay, this was like in 2018 when when one of our friends like got married. This person is here, right here. Okay, and one of our friends got married, and we were attending his marriage. Okay. And during my high secondary school, like 3 teachers like formed the basis for even me to get into CEG. Okay, so without these 3 people, like Basha sir, Sambat sir, and Madhuryan sir, I don't really think I would have even been in CEG, because they really till 10th grade, I was thinking like studying is more about memorizing. Like you have to like memorize things, you have to like just like write them down in the exams, and then you get marks. Okay, but these 3 people changed my thinking about, okay, studying is not just about memorizing, and you can't succeed in life if you're just memorizing things. Just because they showed me like, okay, now the concepts here are going to be complex, and we'll tell you like how to understand it and then study them. Okay, and then so these people formed like helped me like as a springboard to enter into CEG. Okay, so now with that, I'm moving on to the second part, where like during what happened in my life during CEG and what are things that I learned during this time. Okay, my first semester at CEG. Okay, I still remember this so vividly because I was like completely overwhelmed and scared and things like that, because I was like transitioning from, I took like biology till my 12th standard. And then when I moved into, I took information technology at CEG, right? That was the first time I was ever learning programming. But it was not that is the first time that I was ever learning programming. The main problem that I think I felt was that there were students in the class who already came in with prior programming experience, because they probably took computer science 11th and 12th, or like somehow had some family members teach them programming or something like that. And so when we were in the, I don't remember the name of the thing. It's RCC, right? The Ramanujam Computing Center. When we were there in those labs, I still remember I was like, okay, probably I just took a wrong major. I just took a wrong major, because it seems like programming comes to people so naturally, but I'm just so struggling even to solve like some simple problems like adding numbers in a list and things like that. So that completely had so much impact on my self-confidence, like in the first year, because I was thinking like, okay, I'm doing really well in high school. Coming into college, the first semester, like my self-confidence was like completely shattered. Like, okay, probably what I'm doing. And to add on to that, right? To add on to that, during my almost the entire first 2 years, okay, personally, it was really hard for me to understand how to learn programming. I did not have anyone at that point, like, unfortunately, did not have anyone who really taught me, hey, this is how you go about learning programming. And it's more like, it's both of like an art and a science, but it was taught to us mostly like, okay, this is a program, okay, and this is what it is doing, okay, and that had a huge impact. And so what happened was I started memorizing C programs. Like during my first year, I started memorizing C programs without understanding them, right? For the sake of exams, okay, I have to like do this lab exam, or I have to do this like end semester exams. I have to memorize this program, okay, so that I can like write most of it in the paper format and so on. So what happened because of that? Then I did not know how to program, how to code after my like nearly the end of my second year, right? After 2 years, I really did not know how to code. And almost I started, after these 2 years, I started losing interest in programming and computer science completely. And this, like, I was like, okay, I'm going to like endure 2 more years in this college. How am I even going to do that? I feel like an imposter here, who's just like, probably they admitted me without knowing that I'm not so good. And so now I feel that I'm not so good, and all my peers are like super good, and like they are like doing so many things in programming. Again, for 2 years, it was really difficult. Okay, and then this person came into my life. Okay. So she's Shashwati Mukherjee, operating systems professor during my 4th semester. She taught us like programming. Okay. She did not teach us programming. She taught us operating systems, but more than the actual concept, she really showed us like the passion for computer science. She showed us like how to actually learn computer science. How should you go about like really understanding stuff and learn things? And this, so without, I think, Shashwati ma'am, again, I don't think I would have even pursued graduate school. Okay. So she happened in my life and she completely changed my life. And in a way that I was not like such an outgoing student during the class, or like I did not like when I did not go to her to asking for research opportunities or anything like that. And I know like some of my friends have gone to her and done that. Okay. But at the same time, I was like just like taking a class, but she was inspiring me so much. And after I finished college, okay, I went and asked, I mean, like I was working for 3 years, and then I went and asked for a letter of recommendation for applying for graduate school to Shashwati ma'am, and she outright rejected it. Okay, she said like, I do not even remember you from class, so how will I even like write you a letter? So probably you should have done some research with me or something like that. I was like, okay, ma'am, thank you. Then I just came back. Okay, then few other people, Kannan sir, then Uma Mageshwari ma'am, and my manager at Cisco, they helped me write a letter, and then I was able to apply to grad school. But later, like a change of events happened, right? During my research, what happened was I was actually doing research in bilingual computer science education, trying to teach computer science using both English and Tamil. And so I came back during my PhD, I came back to India to conduct my experiments at CEG for during the time span of 2016 to 2019. And so during that time, I ended up connecting with Ashwati ma'am, and then we started becoming like such close friends. Like she's like a family friend to us right now, and she's a mentor and also one of my research collaborators. We have co-authored research papers together with her. And this is like me and my wife, along with Ashwati ma'am, like when we came there to India last time, right? Like we were, so yeah. And so that's it. Okay, I'm just not going to say anything more. And another person who completely like really made me how to think algorithmically or how to think like a computer scientist, right? Is this person called Uma Mageshwari ma'am. Okay, she's amazing. She's awesome. She taught us the algorithms course in 6th semester. And that really helped me understand, okay, oh, this is how you break down problems into smaller parts. This is how you tackle one at a time. This is how you slowly like start working on a programming problem, like decompose it, and then all these other techniques that you use, right? And so I'm so grateful to both these professors at CG. There are so many other people, again, just to be clear, there are so many other people who helped us. But again, for time constraints, I'm just highlighting the 2 core people, I think, who completely changed my life in CEG. Even though these 2 people, right, Shashwati ma'am and Uma Mageshwari ma'am, influenced my life so much in 4th and 6th semesters, still what was happening, right? Like the end of my like 4th year, I was attending these campus interviews. This is like real data. I just took it from the Google form that I was like a document that I was maintaining during college. Okay, like a Google Doc I was maintaining during college. So even though I found passion towards computer science, I still think that the damage that was done in the first 2 years was still there, where I did not learn the basics of programming and data structures so well. Okay. And when these companies come for campus interviews, they expect that you have strong foundation in programming data structures. And so when I was going through these interviews, right, like all the red mark things here, the companies that I did not even clear the written test, okay, like true data, okay, that I did not even clear the written test. Companies that are marked blue here are the companies that I cleared the written test or like some group discussion round, something like that, and then attended the interviews, but I did not clear the interviews. Okay. And among all these companies, the only company that actually cleared the interview on-campus interviews was CTS or Cognizant. Okay. And then when I went to the off-campus interviews, I was also attending off-campus interviews because I was not very satisfied with Cognizant. I wanted to like do like work in some product-based company. And so I was attending other companies like this. And again, even though I was rejected by Cisco Systems during an on-campus interview, I attended an off-campus interview, and again found my first job there. Okay. And this experience made me realize that, okay, made me understand that, okay, I know nothing about programming. Like although I am in my 4th year now and I'm like about to graduate, it's very clear that I don't know anything about programming. So I still remember this so well. On the last day of our, like, it was like we had a final project in CEG, right? You'll have a final project during your 4th year. We finished this final project, submitted the final project, gave some Viva presentation and things like that. That was considered to be the last day that we ever go to college officially. End of the last day, from my college, okay, from CEG, I directly went to Moore Market. Okay, I directly went to Moore Market near Central to get the C programming language book. I was like, okay, now I completed college. I feel like I have not learned as much. Now I want to like learn on my own. Okay, just went there, got the C programming book. But the struggles did not end immediately just after like getting the first job, right? I got this first job and going there, like looking at the work, it was like till in college, we were only dealing with small code, like 1 file or 2 files or maximum like 10 files at a time. At work, they give you like a large code base, which has some hundreds and thousands of files. And then they just ask you to fix a bug in that. So you have to figure out like where that bug exists, what is the reason for that, and trying to understand the flow of the program, right? And then trying to fix like what would be a good fix. I was like completely like, oh, I did not learn any of these things. They're asking me to, okay, can you go and build the code base or make the code base? I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean? And then I had a mentor who was like super helpful for me. He was helping me like understand these things, but still, in the first few weeks, I realized, okay, I am not as prepared for what this job is expecting from me. So I went back, like I work at Cisco, let's say from morning, like 8 to evening 5 or 6. And then I get back home, like take some rest, like eat dinner. And then every day I spent 1 hour in the night, like 9 to 10 or something like that, right? Just to read this book and start like learning programming on my own. And while I was doing that, I started realizing like, wow, this seems so much fun. Like this seems so much fun, and like this seems so much like, what to say, this is awesome. And so why didn't I learn it this way when I was in college, right? Why didn't I understand how fun it was, like, and so on? So that created so much interest in me and passion in me to actually teach it in the most fun way possible, to teach programming in the most fun way, and like by inspiring passion among students. And that is what I feel like I'm doing right now. Okay. And some of my friends at CEG who are still like we are like really close friends even now. And this was just taken outside our CEG canteen after eating like some grape ice cream or something like that. And yeah, so again, like more about my family and friends. And along with my family and friends, I wanted to also highlight like how the connections I have with CEG still like work. So this is one of my friends whom his name is Kumar Anna. I'm not sure if people have seen him, but he is a person who works at our hostel office, okay, who goes challans and slips at our hostel office. I became friend. I was the vice president of the Student Association and Arts Society, the SARS, when I was in my final year. So during that time, I got to know him, and he was like living in a nearby church. And so we used to like drop him from college and so on. And so these connections, like the connections that I have with people, and with CEG, is not just with the faculty and friends I have, but also with like so many other people like Kumar Anna, who's like one of our family friends right now. Yeah. Okay, so now with the life during CEG, now I'm going to like move on to life after CEG. Okay, so after CEG, okay, so the first company I was working was at Cisco. I worked there for 2 years, and like while doing the work for 2 years, I started like feeling, okay, so probably, okay, I like now after learning programming on my own, right? I started feeling that, okay, I like programming really. Okay, this seems like really fun, especially after learning by myself or after getting the passion by myself. And then, but still it was something missing. I feel like I am a person who wants to be interacting with people most of the time rather than just with computers. Okay, but a software industry job made me interact with a computer most of the time and with people only occasionally. Okay, and so I wanted to like do something else. So at the time I was exploring other options, and then like I was thinking probably the type of the company that I'm working may be an issue. So I want to move to a smaller company, like a startup company, to see how that might differ. And so I moved to Sandwich. At the time it was a small startup in networking. Okay, and then I worked there for 1 year. But even after working there, initial 6 months was a lot of fun. I was like, okay, hey, I'm learning so many tools and so many languages and techniques. But after 6 months, it became like a routine. And then I started realizing, okay, there's something that's missing. One question that I started asking myself is, if I were to do this job for the next 10 years or so, would I be happy about myself after 10 years? And the answer was, every day when I was waking up, the answer was no for that. And so I wanted to explore something else. And so I was trying to figure out like soul searching, or like trying to figure out what I really wanted to do. At that time, again, I went back to my experiences in college. Okay. And even during the first 2 years, when I was telling you, like, I did not learn programming with industries as well, like from whatever I was learning on my own, I was trying to teach my fellow students, like my friends, and they used to tell me, hey, Gerald, like the way that you teach us, right, is much better than what we are learning from class. And so that I got back to those experiences, and then I was thinking, okay, so probably I was really enjoying this teaching. And also my dad taught me so much when I was still my 10th standard. Dad taught me so much, and he teaches with such an amazing attention to detail. And so I felt like I have acquired those skills from him. And so I wanted to try something with teaching. So again, I went back to CEG, spoke with Uma Mageshwari ma'am, Sashwati ma'am, so on, trying to figure out, okay, I'm planning to want to do something in teaching, but what I don't know, like how I should go about that. And so one of the options that two options that I was applying at the time was, after Sandvine, was I was applying for Teach for India, okay, and I was also applying for grad school, okay. And my first priority was to actually join Teach for India. For people who don't know Teach for India is like a 2-year program where you will serve as a teacher for an under-resourced school somewhere in Tamil Nadu, sorry, somewhere in the whole entire India, right? Somewhere in India. And then you will be serving as the full-time teacher for 2 years, okay? And you will be paid a salary like around 25,000 to 30,000. And at that time, it felt like, for my family at least, felt like I'm getting like really paid well in these software companies. And if I go for Teach for India, it's like a downgrade in my salary. And so they were, even though my mom was a teacher, she was like trying to trying to advise me not to do that. But I was super passionate about teaching, and so I applied that. But ultimately, I got rejected. Okay, I got rejected from Teach for India, and so I ended up, okay, so my other option now is to actually try doing grad school. So let's do it. And then I went to University of Wisconsin, Madison. Okay, and this is how it happened. And the life-changing experiences that I had here at the University of Wisconsin, Madison, right? Initially, I started as a master's student in computer science. And once I started doing that, this person, Angela Thorpe, who's a graduate student coordinator at the University of Wisconsin, Madison, I just had a conversation with her telling that, okay, although I am actually, I came here for doing a master's, okay, although I came here for doing a master's, I am actually more interested, like I'm personally, like my interest in computer science actually glues so well with my interest in teaching, okay. So to give you a backstory, the reason even I applied to Wisconsin, or I was even considering grad school, came from a conversation while I was working at Sandvine. I had one of my roommates, okay, who was also a CEG alumni, who was working in a different company called Vivio. And he just went to Wisconsin to pursue his master's the previous year, okay. And then he called me after being there for one month. He called me and he told me, hey, Gerald, I am like having a good time here at Wisconsin, and I think you would really enjoy here because I am currently working as an teaching assistant for an operating systems class, and you get the opportunity to conduct discussion sections where you actually teach students, and you also have these one-on-one office hours where you interact and clear students' questions about the topic. And that was like, wow, so you will be able to teach if you do a master's or a PhD. And that made me like, okay, apply to grad school and come here. After applying, I came here and did this, and this professor called, and this person, Angela Thorpe, she introduced me to so many different departments that are on campus. I did not even know that there was education department on campus. She introduced me to people in those departments, and she advised me to take some courses in those departments too, even though they may not directly contribute to my CS degree. And I just did that. So during my second semester there, I took a course first I took a computer science course with this professor called Andrea Arpachiduso, okay? And the course the way the course was is we have the Scratch programming language, and then we teach. This professor taught us how to teach programming to 4th and 5th grade children. And as part of the class work or class assignment every week, you have to like go to an elementary school in Madison, Wisconsin. And we had to like a group of 2 to 3 of us had to teach those students for 1 hour about a particular programming topic using Scratch. And that was like super amazing to me. And during the same semester, I was also working as a teaching assistant for 2 classes, like Intro to Programming and Intro to Data Structures. And like I had like amazing experiences with it. And I was like, I'm just going to continue doing this forever. Okay. And during the same semester, like again, I took this education class with this person called Richard Halverson, who was in education, is a professor in education. And I did a project in that particular class where I studied bilingual schools. Okay, bilingual schools in the sense there are schools in the US where they use both English and Spanish to teach students in the schools. Okay, both these languages will be taught to students. It is not, think of it to be like an English medium school versus a Tamil medium school, but we don't have anything like an English Tamil bi-medium school, right? So something like that. So I did a project on what are the effectiveness of bilingual schools in the US. And then that project helped me during the end of my master's. I was thinking, okay, this bilingual education seems like a powerful idea. Now I'm super interested in going back to India to implement it there by joining as a lecturer somewhere and then teaching using both bilingual education, both English and Tamil. And when I told this idea to this person, he was like, hey, Gerald, wait. I don't think you should just like go and become a lecturer and just start teaching in a bilingual manner, because whatever ideas that you are proposing seems like a complete PhD dissertation. You can do a PhD with that. And I was like, wow, so really, but I have a background in CS. I don't have any background in education. I just took 1 or 2 of your classes. How could I do that? He was like, just remember one thing. If you really want something, you can definitely make it happen. Just go and make it happen. He just connected me with one person in grad school. And I just went and spoke with them, trying to figure out, hey, this is my background is in CS, but I'm really wanting to do an interdisciplinary PhD in computer sciences and education using this particular topic. Is that possible? And they were like, yes, that's totally possible. These are like these interdisciplinary things is what our university is completely like encouraging, and we're founded on these ideas. And so you should definitely do this. And they gave me a way of like, they told me, you can write a proposal and get it approved by at least 5 professors in the university across these 2 departments. And they are going to be your PhD thesis committee who will approve your PhD at the end. And if they approve to the initial proposal, then you're all set. Then I exactly did that. And I started my interdisciplinary PhD in computer sciences and education. And I was the first ever student in this. They created a department called interdisciplinary program in computer science education. I was the first ever person, like a student in that program. And now we have nearly 6 more students who have already like graduated from the same program. So that was like one amazing thing that I found there. And so this research program here, right, my research idea started with, what are some effective ways to teach programming to non-native English speakers, as programming and computer science is completely in English. The programming languages, the programming language documentations that we have, like the Python docs or the Java docs and things like that. And also the ecosystem of programming related to question and answer websites like Stack Overflow are primarily in English. When everything is primarily in English, students who are coming from a Tamil medium background or some other native language background, when they want to like learn programming, they are facing such a huge barrier there, because they are trying to learn both the programming language and a native language, which is English, right, and a natural language, which is English, at the same time during their first and second semesters, or even the first and second years in CEG or like in any undergraduate institution. And so my research tried to look at, okay, how could we reduce the barriers that such students who are not competent in English or not so proficient in English face? How could we use bilingual teaching strategies as a way to help them reduce those barriers? And we found that we conducted multiple experiments, at CEG in collaboration with Professor Ashwini Mukherjee, and we found that we were not able to see any difference in student learning in the experiments that we conducted, which does not mean that there is no difference. We were not able to find any during the time that we conducted. The maximum duration that we conducted these studies were like 8 weeks. But later I realized that, like, talking with other education folks, understand that such studies need to be conducted for like years together to even see like a small difference. Okay, but at the same time, what we found was using Tamil and English in the classroom for teaching computing, like, increased the classroom interaction so much, okay, that students started asking such deep questions when they were not restricted to ask questions just in English. They were allowed to ask questions in either English and Tamil. And so we conducted these experiments in data structures, in a C programming class, a data structures class, and also an operating systems class. And we found that the student interaction increased like tremendously compared to a group where we are using only English. So we had two groups where in one group we taught the same class only with English, as it is currently done now. And in the other class, we used both English and Tamil, and this is what we observed. This was one of my research areas. And another research area, right? So when we were doing these bilingual education studies at CEG, one of the things I had, very similar to the survey that I gave you folks now, right? At the end of our studies, the end of our interventions or classes, we asked them some open-ended feedback. What is some feedback that you have about the classes, okay? And during those classes, even though our focus was on the language, right, of instruction, we were using bilingual techniques for teaching. But along with that, I was using this idea of live coding, where I program before the students, just right before the students in class, to show them how a program is being developed. Instead of just typing the program beforehand and just showing a fully working program, they are able to see how a program is developed, what errors could happen, how I go about solving them. They see the process behind programming. And in the open-ended feedback that we collected, more than the language of instruction, students were actually focusing or like super interested in the teaching methodology that we used with live coding. And this, like, immediately at the end of my PhD, this led me to explore what is this live coding and what is its effectiveness on student learning. And currently, like, after joining as a faculty at University of California, San Diego, I received an NSF grant. It's called a National Science Foundation here in the United States. It is an organization that funds research, okay? And we received like a NSF grant for continuing to work in this particular research, me and along with my other research collaborators. So this, again, all my research first, this was done in CEG primarily, and I'm still continuing to do this research with Spanish-speaking people and Chinese-speaking people here in the US, right? And this particular research even started from the previous research that we were doing in CEG. And another area, right, another area of research that I'm currently working on is also security education. How could we help students understand the importance of writing secure programming or secure code by using some courses like in computer systems courses? And we are also like trying to collaborate with Sarshidi Mukherjee on a grant proposal for this. And yeah, there may be some work going on in this space. And so I started here at CEG, then I went to Cisco and Sandvine for industry for 3 years, and then went to Wisconsin-Madison for my master's and PhD. And now I'm at University of California, San Diego as an assistant professor. But during this transition, right, transitioning from Wisconsin to UC San Diego, it was like amazing to see that even though I felt like I was a failure at the end of my undergrad, even though I felt I was like, okay, I did not know anything about programming, I'm a failure in computer science, it felt like, okay, now, okay, can I even become a professor? Like, but the experience that I had overall, I'm not saying like it was like bad experiences. All those experiences made me like everywhere, like the failures that I had inspired me more, and then they made me go through each and everything. And now when I actually was applying for jobs, right, like I applied to nearly like 40 places, right, 40 universities, and I got interviews from 15 of them. And among those 15 of them, I actually got a position, like a faculty position in 12 out of those 15 places. And I ended up like joining at University of California, San Diego. And some of the other places that I did not end up joining were like some really good places like Columbia University, like Stanford University and all. Those are amazing. But I found like for my type of research and my interest, like UC San Diego being at the border of US and Mexico, having bilingual people there like makes me like more interested and makes me think that this is a much more better fit for me. Okay. And like I currently am advising like PhD students. I have like 4 PhD students who I'm advising, and there are like 2 master students who I advised in the past, and there are like currently 10 undergraduates and 25 past undergraduates whom I've advised in research in the past. And one fun thing I wanted to tell you folks, like I'm going to teach a class called CSE 8A next quarter. Okay, next quarter here. And in that class, one of our CEG students, her name is Kirtana Sundaresan. I'm not sure if you folks know her. She would be 1 year senior or 1 or 2 years senior to you. She's currently doing her master's here at UC San Diego, and she's going to be one of my teaching assistants for the class. And 2 of my research students, undergraduate research students, recently received an US, like United States, like wide undergraduate research awards, and they were recognized with the honorable mention. And Jessica became into a finalist. This was like across all the universities in the US. I'm so proud to see that. Okay, I was someone who thought like I may not even like survive in this world of computer science, and now I'm able to have such students who are able to mentor and advise, who are doing like amazing things. And Anna just graduated and she has joined Stanford as a master's student in computer science. And Jessica is still at the she's just a 3rd year student at UC San Diego, and we are continuing to work on multiple research projects together. And I don't think we have more time, and so I'm not going into the content right now. I have like few more content that I would like to discuss, but we could do that like in our next class. Okay, in our next class. So to-dos before the next lecture, since we did not cover the content, I mean, it's totally fine if you are, I don't think you need to do this, the second part first, but make sure to complete the pre-class survey, okay? But along with it, if you have the time, just go through the slides. I will share the slides with everyone, okay? Just go through the slides and try coming up with or writing a program. I mean, it's not required, but optionally, if you feel that you are able to do this, the program, Python or Java, whatever program it could be, okay, C or C++, it should just ask you what is your name, and if you type your name, it should give you like a message. And similarly, there should be like, what is your name? So if you type a longer name, right, again, the box that is the bounding box should just map along with the message that you are typing, something like this, okay? Feel free to do it optionally, but this will be probably an actual homework for you in the next class after we complete the content in this lesson. Okay, so I'm just sharing the lecture slides here. Feel free to use it to access any of the things in the slides. And thank you so much for giving this opportunity, especially thanks to Karthik and the Signa board for giving me this opportunity to share my life lessons with our students. I hope it was useful to at least some of them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gerald. It was a wonderful session. Maybe we have only a few minutes, but if you can stay for a few more minutes?
I can stay. I am free like for a few more minutes. Sorry.
Sure. So that if the students have any questions or follow up, if you are comfortable asking on audio, that's fine. If not, if you would like to type it in, that's great too.
Yeah, and also thank you so much, Roshni, for your comment. I'm really glad that you liked it. I'm seeing some comments or questions. Let's see. Like, thank you, sir. It was really motivating to hear your story. Thanks, Divyashree. Glad to hear that. And thank you for an amazing session. What should an undergraduate student do to kickstart their research interest? Okay, that's a really good question. So to answer this question, one of the things that I would advise right now is starting to get to know professors, like the sense I did not, just to be clear, I did not have any research experience as an undergrad, okay, but working with undergraduate students here at UC San Diego, and based on my friends, like peers experience at CEG, I would connect to like amazing people who are doing research. Like, for example, if you're interested in working with Sashadhim Mukherjee ma'am, or like anyone, right? For example, Like I know like Raghuvira sir, like and RP ma'am, Rajini Parthasarathi ma'am, and so many amazing people are there in CAG. And so whoever is doing like who's doing research continuously, if you could reach out to them just by email or just going and visiting them directly at office, saying that okay, I am interested in doing research for these reasons. I think I want to like go to graduate school or like do something after CEG, and this is why I want to like be involved in research. But before going to them, I would advise you to read at least 2 or 3 of the research papers that they have published recently. And how could you get access to them? You could look at a website called, I'm just going to share this quickly, okay. You can look at a website called Google Scholar, okay, and go to like scholar.google.com, and then you can see like, let's say I'm just going to say like Sashwati Mukherjee, okay. If you look for Sashwati, I just spelled her wrong, okay, Sashwati Mukherjee, then you can see like some of the research papers that she is working on, like, and I would like even look at the papers recently. So for example, right, this was one of the papers that we actually collaborated, okay. So you could look at like this paper, you can see here that like my name is here and Sashwati ma'am's name is here from CEG, right? I was working at University of Wisconsin-Madison during that time. To read this particular research paper, see like what was going on. If this is of something of your interest, then you can go and talk with her saying that, hey, ma'am, I read your research paper. This is super interesting. Or like, I want to like see if you have any research opportunities. And that's how you start getting involved in research. I have another private question. I'm going to read it out. Okay, so thank you for the session, sir. Took bio in 11th and 12th too, and everything you said was super relatable. Gave me little more confidence in myself. I'm super glad to hear that, because that was my one goal that I had for my talk today, was that if there are students who are similar to me, who are feeling that they are struggling, and who are feeling that they are not a good fit at CEG or in computer science or any related fields like ECE, EEE, or IT. I just want to give you the confidence that if I can do it, someone like me, if I can do it, then definitely you could. Okay. Understood. Thank you, sir. Then I'm just going to read other messages. Gerald, your live story was amazing and motivating. Very nice session. Thank you. Thank you so much, Malams. Mala ma'am, thanks. So I did not know that Mala ma'am, you are here. Thank you so much, Mala ma'am. Yeah.
Sorry, that was my job to introduce her. In the lack of time, I forgot to do that. My apologies. Professor Mala,
no
thank
worries,
you for joining.
Ma'am, I don't think we are able to hear you properly. Karthik, are you able to hear her?
No, it is. I'm not able
net
to.
Connection is not that good here.
Yeah, now we are able to hear.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, you're audible now, ma'am. Can you speak? Yeah.
Yes. Your session was really very amazing and motivating. I think students could have been motivated, and as you said, I had motivated some of the BTech IT students also. I think, Karthik, did you check IT students? I think more number of students could have registered by now, I feel.
Sure, we have a couple more that have joined it.
Thank you. Thank you. I have another comment that I would like to read, okay, from like a personal chat that people are sending it to me directly. Sir, I literally feel like how you felt at the end of second year for the past few months. I literally felt like dropping college. But right now, I feel a little motivated to push forward. Like how you stated some teachers had shaped your life. I feel you would be like that to many of the people similar to me. Wow, this is so kind of you. I'm not going to reveal the name because people are sending this to me privately, okay? But this is so kind of you. Thank you so much. And yeah, this is like, I am really like, I don't know, I don't have any words to say, but if I am doing that for you, like just with this single session that I'm teaching, this is one of my life achievements. Thank you for sharing that, and feel free to feel free to share it in private chat with me too. And thank you so much, Karthik. Really, this is like, I sincerely like appreciate you.
Oh, thank you, Gerald. It is this is such a wonderful opportunity to be able to be part of or witness this, really. So thank you.
And this a special thanks for also like telling me that, okay, probably like in the first session, it would be good to share my story and then probably get into the idea of like how to solve a programming problem. Does that help me like decide, okay, this is what I'm going to do in the first session, and then probably we could get into more about solving programming problems in the next session on Monday.
Wonderful.
Okay.
I mean, if it's all right to add a few thoughts, I mean, I was really amazed by how self-aware you are in all of this full process. Basically, whether picking up one, you're brave to follow. Oh, this is where my heart lies, and then really having that was really amazing. So I'm really thankful that you're sharing it with the students, and it really almost doesn't matter what you know or what you don't. What really matters is how bad you want something. Really. So I'm very, very grateful. And all of those topics that you had mentioned, bilingual education, teaching security or secure programming practices for children, these are very exciting, and maybe it's a conversation for another time, but I just wanted to give a shout out for all the great work that you're doing, and all the best for all the kudos, and all the best for all the work that you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karthik. It's so kind of you. I'm just going to like go and read the other comments here, so that that are coming to me privately, so that other people also hear that. Okay, thank you for sharing your relatable and inspiring stories. Still looking forward to learning from you. Thank you, Aishwarya. And another private comment, please let me know if I could access some of your resources for learning coding. Please, it would be very, very, very helpful for me. That's a great question. I'm just going to share my screen again quickly and show you folks, like you can have this link, you have this link from the slides that I shared too, okay? But I'm just sharing my personal web page here. This is my personal web page, and if you go under teaching, right, you can actually see so many courses that I have taught in the past. For example, if you want to like learn operating systems, right, you can click this operating systems course, and almost all the classes that I have taught in the past, right, most of the classes that I've taught in the past have these. If you just click on a particular topic, you can actually go and access the lecture video for that topic. So this was me teaching at University of Wisconsin-Madison, right? And so just a minute. Yeah, so if you play this video, you will be able to like actually see me teaching here at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. And all these videos are public, okay? So all these videos are public, and so feel free to like access them. And all my course resources, just to be clear here, okay, all my course resources are also public, okay? So for example, right, in this video, okay, we'll discuss. And so this video, you can access these videos, and also the course resources here. I mean, if you look at the projects and stuff, you can also see what projects are we doing here in operating systems courses in the US and so on, okay? And yeah, so feel free to access any of these resources, and all my research papers are also like publicly available from my web page under publications, okay? And another fun fact I wanted to share, like based on the way that I was teaching operating systems here, or we teach in the US, like I went back, and then that is like, we had a huge like conversation with Sashi Mukherjee ma'am. And so now she's trying to, I think she already made some changes about how do we go about teaching OS and CEG. So I was so happy that I was able to go back and then collaborate with my operating systems teacher, Sashi Mukherjee ma'am, on something like this. Okay, yeah, so probably last but one comment, like, thank you so much for sharing the story. The part about feeling lost and overwhelmed at the near end of undergrad was very relatable, super inspiring, and relieving to learn more about someone who's clearly so content with and passionate about their career. Thank you so much for your comment. And people are asking me if they could contact me via email. Just feel free to like connect with me via email if you want some resources, or if you just want to chat. I'm happy to. I'm not promising that I would be able to like reply to all emails immediately, right? But I'll definitely make sure that I will get back to you with some resources or some pointers whenever, like as soon as possible. So feel free to like do that too. Thank you so much, everyone. Yeah.
Thank you, Gerald. And thank you everyone for joining. I'll stop recording now. Goodbye.
Thank you all. See you on Monday. Okay. Bye-bye.
Talk to you Monday.